Alright, so back in the initialize, in the white space between resume and quit, let's add resume.selected plus equals new event handler, opening parentheses, and copy the resume select name, method name, and paste it above there. Just the name. And in parentheses, semicolon. Do the same thing with the quit. Quit.selected plus equals new event handler. Copy and paste the name. Go closing parentheses and semicolon. Alright, save that screen. Now let's go to the play screen. And now we need to add the ability to pause it when we press escape, or when we press the pause game input action. So there's a comment here, delete the comment. We're in the handle input method. Delete that comment that says pause the game. And let's set the screen state is equal to screen state.frozen. It'll still draw, but it cannot be updated. We want to freeze the screen before we do another screen on top of it. So here we're going to freeze the game. Then we're going to add screen state or screen manager to add screen new pause screen. If we go to the pause screen class, the namespace, delete the dot screens there. Alright, so now back in the play screen class, it's screen manager to add screen new pause screen, opening parentheses, we pass it this, closing parentheses, 2 of them, and semicolon. So now if we press F5, press enter, and I'm going to wait for an enemy to pop up to see if it's working. Alright, now if we press escape, it should pause it and freeze the game. Now our input is being done by the pause game, the pause screen. So if we resume, it should resume gameplay. If we hit escape again, it should resume. If we hit escape and quit, it'll quit the game. Okay, so now here is where the fun part comes in. Game screen has a fade screen method in it. So that will allow us to fade the screen of what the current screen we want to do. It'll just fill an overlay, a texture overlay. It'll fill it with an opacity. That's all it will do. So if we go to the play screen, this is the screen we want to fade. We want to fade it after everything is drawn. Now if you look at the game screen, sprite batch has to be in between begin and end calls. So if we go back to the play screen, right before the sprite batch.end, again we want the strings to be faded as well. So right before the sprite batch.end, here is where we want to call FadeScreen. Alright, the reason I put a comment there is because we need to do some preparations. So let's go ahead and build up the fade screen here. Now there's 2 ways to do it. You can grab the texture 2D from the completed game. That is a single pixel, or not texture 2D, but the PNG, it's a single pixel. You can grab that and load that in and create a texture 2D from that. Or you can just create a texture 2D from using the program and load it that way, which is the way I'm going to do. Now I'm going to create a static field. Public static texture 2D fade texture, and in the initialize on the play screen, in the initialize, I'm going to say fade texture is equal to new texture 2D. And I'm going to pass it the screen manager dot graphics device, comma, 1 is the width, comma, 1 is the height, closing parentheses and semicolon. So now I have fade texture is equal to new texture 2D screen manager dot graphics device, comma, 1, comma, 1. int width, and int height. Alright, so now that we have that, we need to build a color array, because we need to call the set data, which takes an array. So color, capital C, opening closing brackets, name it whatever you want. I call it C, new is equal to new, color, capital C, opening closing brackets, opening curly bracket, and set the color you want the fade texture to be. I want it to be black, closing curly brackets, and semicolon at the end of there. Now all we need to do is set data for the texture. So FadeTexture.set data, opening angled bracket, color, capital C, closing, opening parentheses, and it takes the array, so we pass it the name we called it, and semicolon. Alright, so now we built a static texture that we use to fade. So, we need to determine, when we draw, we need to determine if the comment, we delete that. Now we need to check if our screen state double equals screen state dot frozen. It's frozen, so we want to do the fade. So opening, closing curly brackets, fade screen, that's built into the game screen, so we have access to that. We pass it the sprite batch, comma, texture 2 used for fading, so that's fade texture, comma, color dot black, comma, float opacity 0.7, F, closing parentheses, semicolon. So now if we press F5, hopefully we have no errors. Click play screen, and I'll wait for an enemy to pop up. And we'll press escape, and it's now faded. Alright, so let's change the colors of our text in the menu system. So we have a play screen. We can do that in the menu screen and anything that derives from it. So inside the play screen, we can change the look of our entries. So there's a selected color inside of the pause screen. So selected is equal to new color. You can do a custom color if you want, but I'm going to do color yellow. And non-selected color is going to be color.white. Alright, so that's in the pause screen. Now the main menu screen, let's do the same thing since we're working on it. Anyway, let's go to the constructor. Let's go to selected. Take the color.yellow. And non-selected is equal to color.white. Now if we press F5, we now have a yellow color as selected and white as not selected. So now we do play game, and let's wait for an enemy to pop up, and then we'll pause it and see how it looks. Looks pretty good. Alright, so let's quit the game. Let's go to the menu font. Let's increase the size to, let's say, about 16, maybe 18. Let's try 18. Let's try 24. Nice and big font for this. Alright, so that looks pretty good. That's it for the pause screen. We got the ability to resume. We changed the sprites a little bit, and we got everything working properly. Now all we need to do is the game over screen. As you see now, if we get our hits left is equal to 0, when it goes to -1, the player should just go away. So let me get hit one more time and let's test that. So the player just goes away, and that causes some issues, so we need to do a game over screen, and that should be it for the game. And we didn't need to do a little bit more stuff here. As you can see, when the bullet is generated, look at the top left enemy. When the bullet is generated, it is over the enemy itself. So we just need to go ahead and focus, bring that forward a little bit so it starts towards the turret of the enemy. Alright, so I hope to see you next time.